So this idea of interest versus commitment, you've got to get to a place where you make that decision point. Now, for me, I had had a painful enough experience that I got to that point where I was like, that's it. I am all in. But for some of you, like, you don't have that stimulus. So this is going to have to be a conscious choice. So I want to break down the difference for you, because when you're in this place, this is where you're going to decide, like you're going to proactively decide the trajectory of your life. The old business paradigm is crumbling before our eyes, and the world needs high-achieving entrepreneurs who are ready to break the mold. Welcome to the Epic AF podcast, where groundbreaking, paradigm-shifting change is the only option. If you're done with standard methods and you're ready to disrupt, then you are in the right place. I'm Kelly O'Neill, an award-winning brand strategist, visionary leader, and unapologetic entrepreneur. This podcast is more than a show. It's a hub for big thinkers, the disruptors, and those that are ready to shatter outdated expectations. Subscribe now, and let's rewrite the rules of entrepreneurship together. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Epic AF podcast. I am your host, Kelly O'Neill. The Epic AF podcast is for visionary entrepreneurs and the people that support them in service. And they are looking to shake up the status quo and abolish mediocrity and create a life and business on their own terms. So if that is you, welcome to the show. So in today's episode, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be talking about the most important step to creating an epic AF life and business. In fact, I will tell you that without doing this, you will not actually be able to create an epic AF life. In fact, this is the one thing that when people are not getting the results in their life or their business, when I'm doing strategy consulting and I'm looking at what's going on for them and why they're not aligned, this is often the culprit. So we are going to dive in today, and I'm going to give you some actionable strategies in order to not only understand what needs to be done, but help you make that commitment to yourself. So let's dive in. So here's a truth that changed everything for me. And I actually learned this a long time ago when I was in a coaching program. I think I was actually I heard this at a Tony Robbins seminar, but then it didn't hit me quite until I was working with a coach that shared this. And I realized in that moment why I wasn't getting the results that I desired in certain areas of my life and business. Okay. So every result, and you're going to want to write this one down, every result in your life starts with a decision. Okay? A decision. And not just any decision, but a committed decision. So what most people don't realize is that there is a giant chasm between being interested and being committed. And that chasm is where mediocrity thrives. Mediocrity lives in a space of maybe, in the land of, I'm going to do it when the timing is right, or I'd like to, but, right? It's like, I'm interested, but, and until you make that decision to go all in, you are just flirting with this idea of results or success. You're not marrying it, right? You're flirting with it. And most people think that they are walking around in a place of decision. But I can tell when I'm working with someone, I can tell right away whether or not they are interested or they are committed. Okay? So for years, I was just interested. I mean, sure, like I said, I wanted an epic life and an epic business. You know, I wanted to make a big impact. I wanted to create something incredible. I wanted to live fully aligned with my purpose. I was very interested in this concept. But I didn't realize that at the time that like being interested wasn't going to get me there, right? Interest keeps you in this place of waffling. It keeps you undecided. It keeps you dabbling with greatness, but never fully committing to it. And mediocrity loves that kind of indecision because that is where it keeps you safe and comfortable and controllable. Even though I'd heard of it, and even though I'm telling you guys right now, some of you are at a point in your life or a point in your business where you are just going to get it, right? This is going to hit you like a ton of bricks, and you are going to walk away from this episode changed. And some of you are hearing me, and it may take a while for it to sink in. Don't worry, your subconscious is hearing it, but it might take a while for it to sink in. I lost my business before I fully understood the distinction. And when I hit that rock bottom, I saw clearly that my interest in success wasn't enough. Now, again, I was selling myself a load of bullshit. I didn't realize. I thought I was committed. I mean, I was doing the thing, right? I was working the hours. I was hiring the coaches. I had the more than 50K in team on retainers. I thought I was doing the thing. I thought I was committed. And if someone had asked me and said, "Are you committed?" I'd be like, "Yes, I'm committed. Do I not look fucking committed? I am fucking committed." But I wasn't, right? I was just interested. I needed to burn the boats. For those of you who have read Think and Grow Rich, you know exactly what that means, right? I needed to make a decision that I couldn't back out of. And I needed to make that committed decision to fully commit to an epic life and business. I had to shift in every place in my life from I'd like to I will, no matter what. No matter what. And that's that commitment, right? That's like what that commitment means, right? It's a decision with no escape route. No, if this doesn't work out clause. There was no plan B, no option to quit. All your chips in. I live in Vegas. All your chips in, right? And the truth bomb about this is this. Here it comes. You can talk about what you value all day long, right? You can talk about what you're committed to. But committed decisions don't lie, right? And when I'm working with a CEO and I'm analyzing their business, right? Or I'm looking at their life and I ask them what's important to them and I ask them what they've decided on, I'm going to start to immediately see the incongruencies, right? I'm going to start to see the incongruencies in a lot of different areas in their life. But committed decisions don't lie. And when I pull, and they never understand why I'm doing this. In fact, I'm actually outing my secret of one of the things I do. If you're going to hire me, don't go and clean this up first because that's cheating. I ask them to give me their calendar for the last 90 days because committed decisions show up in two places, on your calendar and in your bank account, okay? It shows up in your day-to-day. So forget what you think your priorities are. Just look at where you spent your time and your money last year. That's the first place to look. That's where your true commitments live. So this idea of interest versus commitment, you've got to get to a place where you make that decision point. Now, for me, I had a painful enough experience that I got to that point where I was like, that's it. I am all in. But for some of you, you don't have that stimulus. So this is going to have to be a conscious choice. So I want to break down the difference for you because when you're in this place, this is where you're going to decide, you're going to proactively decide the trajectory of your life. Okay? So I want to give you guys some reference as to how you can tell whether or not you're interested or committed. So interest talks, commitment acts, right? So when you're interested, you are going to talk about your dreams. You are going to make plans. You are going to get inspired by the possibility of everything that is out there. You might even start taking some steps here and there. But interest is more passive, right? It talks a big game without showing up in a big way. Commitment, on the other hand, doesn't just talk, it acts consistently, day in and day out. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have days where you fuck up or you have days where something comes up. We're not looking for perfection here, but we are looking for consistency, okay? Committed people show up for their dreams, even when it is super uncomfortable, even when it is inconvenient or it is downright hard. They show up, okay? So that's one area that you can tell the difference between interest and commitment. Here's another way. Interest fears circumstances. Commitment commands them. So one of the things that I've noticed, and I've been in business now, at the time that I'm filming this podcast, I have been in business for 24 years. And bar none, and I can say this for myself in the past as well, that too many people let circumstances dictate their decisions. So they kind of think, this is what this looks like. They kind of think of to themselves, I'd love to do this, but I can't because of X, Y, and Z, right? And whatever follows after that but becomes their excuse, right? Their reason for staying safe, playing small, not going all in. But people who are committed don't let circumstances dictate their dreams. They know that circumstances may at times force a minor detour, but that'll never be a dead end. Commitment says, I'm going to do this regardless of the obstacles, right? I'm going to climb the mountain no matter what, right? It doesn't matter, what happens, I will find a way around it. Here's a third way that you can tell. Interest waffles when commitment decides. So when you're interested in something, you always have a way out, right? It's going to let you back away when things get hard. And by the way, they're going to become hard, right? Or if something more exciting comes along, interest lets you back out. But commitment is unshakable, right? It's that place of absolute clarity that when you decide right here, right now, with whatever you have, that this is the path you're going to walk. And you don't let go. Committed decision-making means that when you're reaching these decisions quickly and you're changing them slowly, right? If at all. Interest makes you hesitate, but commitment moves you forward with certainty. You will find a way because you're committed. Here's another one. Interest waits for the right time. Commitment creates it. So when people are merely interested, they tend to say like, yeah, absolutely, I'm so on that. I'm going to start when, right? I mean, I've done that. Like, there's no judgment. I'm just pointing out ways that you can discern for yourself, right? They're going to wait until the ideal conditions, until they have enough money. They've got the perfect circumstances. The kids are older. But here's the truth. There's like never a right time, right? That time never seems to come. Committed people don't wait, right? They make it the right time. They decide, despite not having all the answers, despite the lack of perfect conditions, they're going to take action in the face of uncertainty. So I want to kind of tell you what the cardinal principle of decision-making is. When you make a decision in your life in the direction of epic, you are going to decide right here, where you are right now, right? So one of those foundational lessons that I've learned is that you got to just make decisions with the resources that you currently have, right? When you decide, that's when everything that you need and want shows up. Don't wait until everything is perfectly in place. Don't wait until you feel ready. When you're committed, you are going to use whatever tools, resources, knowledge that you currently have, trusting that you're going to figure out a way, right? And you're going to figure out the rest along the journey. This is where most people, bar none, get stuck, right? Like they let that fear, that perfectionism, that uncertainty, they let them keep from deciding, and they stay in this like virtual purgatory. You guys, commitment requires faith, right? It's about aligning with your decision and trusting that the universe will support you in your highest intention. When you're lacking commitment, you're going to let things get you stuck. But when you're committed, you do not let lack of resources or knowledge stop you. You get resourceful and you keep going. So I'm going to actually tell you a story about something that literally happened to me yesterday. So I've been working with my shaman, and I've been working with her doing equine therapy and equine leadership. And let me just tell you right now, and as you listen to more of these episodes, the shaman's always right, right? I love to think that the shaman sometimes is wrong, but the shaman is always right. And even when I argue with her and I don't want her to be right, she ends up being right. So a couple months ago, the shaman said to me, I feel like you need to start riding more, right? So I ride horses, and I have not been riding as much as I used to. And she said, I think you need to start riding more. And I'm like, I don't have enough time. That's not my priority right now. I'm wake surfing a ton. I don't have the time to get down. That's like a whole nother hobby, right? And that's not my priority right now. I've got other priorities in my life. And she said, I think you need to start doing this. And then she said to me a few weeks ago, all right, well, if you're not going to start riding more, what I'd like to start doing is I'd like to start meeting you down at the barn and doing equine leadership work with you and her horse Khaleesi, because she offers that service, and that's one of the things that she does. And so I've been going down to the barn and I've been working with Khaleesi. Well, all of a sudden, about 3 nights ago, I started thinking to myself, it's getting a little bit colder here. Wake surf season's sort of coming to an end, even though I surf all year round because I'm committed. But I started thinking to myself, like, I feel like the shaman might be right. I feel like I might need to start riding more. And so I was talking to her 3 days ago, and I said, I think you might have been right. And she's like, I mean, this is a common scenario. And I said, I've been thinking about this more, and I think I need to start riding more. But I just honestly, I don't know that I have the time for a horse, right? They're a very big responsibility. For those of you who know about horses, it's a very big responsibility. So, but here's the deal. So while I'm interested in this horse idea, I'm committed to an epic life in business. That's something I am committed to. So she called me and she said, hey, there's this horse down at my stable, and I think that you might be able to do some work with him. And I said, oh, well, is he for sale? And she said, well, he's been abandoned, and he's Khaleesi's best friend, and I think that you should look at this horse. And I said, okay. But again, I'm still like, listen, I just don't know that I have the time to commit to a horse right now. But again, I committed to the epic life. So yesterday she said, well, let's just talk about it. I'll show him to you when we go down to the barn on Thursday. And I said, okay, great. So I went down to do my work with her. And all of a sudden, the trainer that I train with walks up with this horse. She just happened to have him out. And I looked at my shaman and I was like, did you guys plan this? And she's like, nope, we didn't plan this. And so I as this horse is coming up, she's like, yeah, I decided to take him out today. He needs love. Like, and she was telling me the story about how his owners abandoned him. And the shaman is just looking with this shit-eating grin on her face because universal intervention. So she started talking and Brandy said to the, that's my shaman. She said to the trainer, she said, Kelly's been thinking about doing some work with horse and volunteering. And I said, yeah, I'd love to do I'm not even necessarily that interested in doing more riding, but I'm interested in doing work with a horse and developing that relationship for my own healing purposes, which is the work I do with Khaleesi. And she said, this horse would be perfect for this. In fact, actually, he's injured right now. He just had back surgery. And so he's not even rideable at this time, but he really needs someone to love him. Well, that was about that, right? So now I am the proud foster parent of this horse. And I am making time, right, to go down there, even though, it is not the perfect time for me to be having this horse, but the universe just presented me an opportunity. And there was something about in my gut that I knew it was right. And so I went and I took the horse out and I ran him in the big pen in the arena because he needs to start building up his strength. And so I did a little bit of work with him. And by the end of that thing, I'm like, well, I guess I have a horse now. So, again, it wasn't perfect. It's not the right time. I've got so much going on right now, but I trust that the universe guided that because it is what I need to live epic. So sometimes things present themselves that are undeniable. So I want to talk a little bit about why people avoid making committed decisions. Many people avoid making these committed decisions because of, frankly, it's fear, right? And I'm going to be talking to you about fear because life is real simple. It's a little prelude to something I'm going to be talking to you about. But they stop making decisions because of fear, right? And there's a lot of reasons why. There's research about this that shares that people don't make committed decisions because they're afraid of failing. They're afraid of accountability. They're afraid of stepping out of their comfort zone. And look, I get it. I get it. Committed decisions demand responsibility, right? They ask you to take full ownership of your path and your results. And that can be terrifying because that means you have now lost the opportunity to blame anyone else for your outcomes, right? It's you on you on you. But here's the thing. If you want extraordinary results, you are going to have to start making some extraordinary decisions. If you want an epic life, you need to decide to burn the boats, right? You need to stop leaving yourself an out, and you need to commit fully to the path ahead of you. So if you're listening to this and you're feeling that spark, that desire to break through to the next level and to break away from mediocrity and to step into something epic, this is your moment. Again, this is your opportunity. It's your decision point. This is where you get to choose once and for all to go all the fuck in on your life, on that life that you want. Because the truth is, not only can you have it, you were born to have it. You can have a business that lights you up. You can have a life that's aligned with your purpose, and you can succeed on your own terms, right? One of the things that I tell people all the time is you can have your cake and eat it too. I don't know I do know who came up with that society. They're telling you well, you can't have your cake and eat it too, or she wants her cake and eat it too. Fuck yes, I want my cake and eat it too. Absolutely. When someone asks me what my love language is, all of them. I want them all. I don't want just one. I want the abundance of love. Okay? But you've got to choose it. You've got to choose it with everything you have because your results depend on it. Your life depends on it. And I'm not being overly dramatic here, right? I'm asking you to stop flirting with the idea of success and start committing to it right now, right? Right now. And if you feel like you can do that, I want you to do something, right? I want you to not just say it. I don't want, look, I have zero interest in hyping everyone up and creating, like we used to say in the seminar field, like creating a bunch of motivated idiots. Like I have no desire to do that. But if you want this epic life, like right now, grab a pen, right? If you've got the Epic AF book, write in it. If not, grab the nearest piece of paper, whatever it is, and write down today's date. And write boldly a decision. I want you to declare, like, that's it. Today I choose epic. Today I choose epic. Because once you make this decision, there's no going back, right? There's no going back. From this moment on, you're not interested in building a good life. You're not even interested in building an extraordinary life. You're committed to it. And we're going to burn the boats. We're going to burn the boats. We're going to leave mediocrity behind. We are going to choose to live at your highest level. This is the beginning of your epic journey. So mark this date. Remember it. Remember this moment. Remember the feeling that you have inside of you, because this is the day that your life changes. This is the day that you get to step up into your purpose and tap into your genius. And you get to start building something that is aligned and powerful and unstoppable.